Morning, welcome to my channel. I'm in the process of building a garden office stroke workshop at the end of the garden, and I'm going to create a video or a series of videos showing how I'm going about this. Let's get into it. Now, I have already started and I didn't film the first section, which was doing excavating the area for the base and getting the base ready. But I'm going to show you what I did and talk you through it, and then today I'm going to be concreting the foundations and building the base ready for the main structure. Let's get into it. So let me show you what I've done so far. Excuse the dog. Okay, so in this area I've already excavated about 200 millimeters deep, and we've got it on a huge pile of earth off there. The office that I'm building, or the shed that I'm building, is 3.5 meters by 9 meters, so it's quite big, and it's going to be on a suspended wooden floor. So what I've done is I've used twin-walled 150 millimeter ducting, where I've dug holes, and these are 500 millimeters long, and then I've put them in the ground, and then what I do, and I've done some over here, is then these then just get filled with concrete. My dad's a structural engineer, and he came up with this idea as a simple way to create pad foundations. I've used it before on 4 other offices that I've built for myself and friends over the years, and it works an absolute treat. So this morning, what I've got to do, I've done 8, so I've got to do the next 24, and once I've done that, I can start building the base. Let's get into it. So I started filming this video after I had dug the foundations, as I said earlier, and so I excavated the base, the area for the base, and I dug holes and put in this stuff, which is 150 millimeter twin wall ducting, and it's fairly rigid, and it's got the ribs on the outside. Now if you have a look inside, it's completely smooth. So this I cut into 500 millimeter lengths. It's really easy, just did it with an angle grinder. Cuts really nicely, and then that got buried into the ground, and they were all leveled, so the tops of them are all the same height, and then backfilled. And the great thing about the rib stuff is that the backfill goes into the ribs and holds it really securely in place, and then once you fill it with concrete, it doesn't go anywhere. So for the concrete, I'm using this Hanson multi-purpose concrete. It's ready mixed, so all I've got to do is add some water to it. One bag is doing roughly 1 hole at the moment. So when it comes to filling the pipes, or the piles, or the footings, whatever you want to call them, I've made the mortar, or I've made the concrete, I've made it quite wet, and then it's just a case of putting it in a little bit at a time. I'll do about 1/3, and then compact it down, and then do another 1/3 and compact that down. It's not very easy with one hand. And get it level with the top. Now when it dries, it will shrink a bit if you don't compact it very well. Like this one, it's sunk lower than the top of the pipe. Now it's not the end of the world, because we can just put some packers on there, or we can just put another little bit of mortar over the top just to smooth that off. So I'm not overly worried about that, but it's a case of tamp it down, put a little bit more in, tamp it down again, and then sort of just pat it off at the top once you get to the top, and then move on to the next. Okay, as you can see, I've got quite a lot to do, so let's get on with it. When you're concreting the tubes, I think it's important to kind of go a little bit higher, kind of leave it a little bit proud of the top of the tube, because as you'll see, this one has already sunk a little bit, this one has sunk a little bit more. They definitely settle. It is something that you could make up with a little bit of mortar or a couple of packing pieces, but while we're doing it, I'll go back round and just add a little bit more and tamp it in. There's just something to be aware of. So that is all of the posts concreted, all 32 of them. I've got a little bit of concrete left in the bucket, just in case any of them sink over the next couple of hours. I can just top them up. The 150mm twin wall ductwork is buried 500mm into the ground, so each pipe is 500mm deep, and I've left them approximately 50mm showing, so that when the timber frame for the base goes in, it's sitting above the floor. But what I have done is I've cut some DPC. I mean, this is just, I think it's high density DPC, just it's a bit better quality, it won't tear. I've cut 2 of those, they're all about 170mm long, and then what I'll do is I'll put a cross, they'll go on there like that, and then the timbers will sit on those to stop any damp transferring up the pipe, up the edge of the pipe and onto the timber. Also, I will be wrapping the edges with polythene, thick polythene, and that will protect the edges and the side of the frame from any backfill that may happen, mainly on the sides and the back. The front, there's got some ground plans for the front, but that'll be in the videos later on. Yeah, so now these are all concreted, I can leave those to go hard and we can get on with building the frame. So now that the foundations are in, they're drying, so I can't put anything on them yet. It's time to make the frame. Now I've designed the whole thing in SketchUp, so I have my plan, and very small are the dimensions I need to cut everything. So as you'll notice, I've got I'm building it in 3 sections, so 3.5 meters by 3 meters. That's really just to help me be able to lift it into place, because I'll build them in the garden just on the flat, and then I'll move them over into position. That way it's a bit easier because you're not stepping over everything. Yeah, so that's the next job really. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got 150 by 50mm tannalized timber. They're 3.6 meter long, which means I only really need to take the ends off them, just to help square them up. Tannalizing them is really important because although they're not going to be in direct contact with the ground, they are going to be exposed to the ground, so you don't want them rotting, and they'll last 15-20 years, so that's fine. They'll probably last longer, to be honest, because like I say, they are going to be lifted off the ground onto on the posts, so pretty happy about that. It's just a case now of cutting all my bits and screwing them together. Let's go. So I'm halfway through building the middle section of the base. You'll notice, so this is the front, and you'll notice that it steps back. So the design of the office stroke shed stroke gym stroke whatever, the doors are going to be set back. So this is where from the middle that they're going to start moving back, and then this will all be clad, and it will kind of have a little sort of porch area, I suppose you could say. So for the base, I'm using these hex head timber screws from Screwfix. I've got a box of 200. That should be plenty. They're 150 long, and I've gone for these ones because they're steel and they're coated, black coated. I don't know what that is in. Corrosion resistant, which means in the base, if there's any moisture down there whatsoever, they're not gonna fail. I'm putting 2 in each joint to hold the timber together, and that should be plenty. Okay, so we are basically at the end of the day. The GoPro died a little bit earlier on, so it's been on charge for a couple of hours. As you can see, I've built the 3 frames. The first one with the time lapse is the middle frame, and then we've got 2 identical frames, and they go, this one flips over and goes on the left, and the other one will drop straight in on the right. And then they'll bolt together in the middle. I've still got to put some noggins, 2 rows of noggins in there just to strengthen it, but I'm not going to do that until they're on the concrete pads, just in case any of them don't line up and I need to just adjust it a little bit. I can put the noggins in where the concrete pads are so that they'll still take the weight. So tomorrow we'll put those in place. I might need to trim some of the bank away, I'm not sure yet. And then I have 100mm insulation that's going to go in, but first of all I'm going to put them in, get all the damp proofing sorted so it wraps up around the sides, and once that's done I can then put the insulation in the floor. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. It's been a really good day today, got loads done, got exactly what I thought I would get done. I thought it would take me longer to concrete the posts, but it didn't take me that long. And yeah, the 3 base sections have gone together really nicely. The timber's really straight, and the screws, yeah, brilliant. What can I say? They're brilliant. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff. I'm just starting out on these YouTube videos, and I'm just trying to show you how to build an office, or how I'm building my office. Yeah, so let's bring on another day tomorrow. Peace.